It's Seiji with Majali, and my guest today is founder of Siliconberg, an IT company that has been in existence for the past 6 years. Mr. Maurice, welcome to Seiji, and thank you for choosing to share as you grow.
Thank you, Babal, and thank you for having me. I'm excited to be part of this and always willing to add value.
Yes. We've been having brief discussions about that earlier on, and it's so interesting to get to know you. And just tell us a bit more about who Maurice is, the journey, from a young age, and when did you develop the passion for entrepreneurship?
So my story is a bit strange. Okay, I'm a Chinese guy born in South Africa with a French name. And I went to school at a school called KEPS, and then went to CARES, and then finished high school in Hyde Park. But the interesting part of that story is the fact that at CARES it was an all-boys school. And it kind of changes your perspective on things. Everything is so competitive. There's a lot of respect and discipline that is instilled in you from the very beginning. And one of the things that, sometimes you need to look at life, and some things are forced on you, but it's up to you how you deal with that. And one thing at CARES and KEPS that happened was the fact that they force you to do sports.
Oh.
And were
you any good?
I didn't know I was. But what happened was the fact that when I was forced to do it, I actually discovered that firstly I liked sports and that I was good at it. And so basically since I was 5, I've been doing competitive sports, running, athletics, cross country, tennis, table tennis, basketball, squash, you name it, I've done it. I never played rugby or cricket because it clashed with the sports in that season. And with rugby, I loved it, but I could never afford to get injured.
Because you had other sports.
I had other sports that I was focused on. And so you ask, how did I become an entrepreneur? Actually, from a very early age also, I started working part-time.
Okay.
So since I was 14, I basically started paying my own dues.
Sure. That's a young age.
Yes, uniforms, school equipment, all of that, tours and everything. I paid out of my own pocket. I tried not to take anything from my parents. And so if you think about it as a 14, 15, 16-year-old going through high school, I had to manage working part-time, which is normally Friday nights, Saturday nights, Sunday mornings, still manage school, still study, and then still play competitive sports. That means that competitive sports means you're playing one league night, which you play till probably midnight. You still have to do provincial practices. You still have to go for tournaments during the week, and on the weekend. So my timetable was always packed, and I had to manage everything. And on top of that, you have to manage your social life, right?
Yes, true.
I still wanted to, meet some ladies. I still wanted to see some of my friends and go out and everything. That's right, chill and everything. But what happened was, if I wanted to go out on the weekend, I had to basically on a Saturday I'd play my tournaments. Saturday evening I'd go work part-time, and then around midnight or so I'd leave my work and I'd go and I'd see my friends.
Wow.
And then it would repeat again. The next morning I'd wake up at 5, go to the tournament to finish the tournament, and then go back to work after that, and then there's a little spurt of schoolwork, and then next day is school again. That was my timetable.
That was a full schedule.
That's right. And during the week it was even worse, because I had to juggle all the other sports, had to juggle school. So that's what actually, I think, if I think about it, grew me as an entrepreneur. I never knew it. At that point, I was juggling all those facets. But when I started studying, when I left school, that's where it actually really hit me. So and the thing is that, I'm not a big fan of education. Honestly, I'm not. I didn't like
Did you do tertiary education?
I did a BCom law.
Oh, okay.
But I never finished it because I think around 2006 I had my first idea, and at that point I was already studying for 2 years, and I was like, this is something I can't.
This is brilliant.
I have to work on that, and I need to go for it. And that's the thing, when you're an entrepreneur, you kind of have to make things happen. You can't think to yourself that, I'm going to finish this and then I'm going to get to it. And by the time, a lot of the times when you actually get past that point, whatever you thought is basically out of fashion, or it's someone else has done it
Someone else
already.
has thought of it.
You don't have that luxury to just sit and
The
wait for
market
it.
and industry is fast paced.
Yes, that's right. So yes, but I must give credit to the course that I studied, BCom Law. The commerce part of it really changed how I looked at the world. And even just, I remember reading my first 10, 20 pages of each of those textbooks, and I was thinking to myself, hey, this all makes sense now. and through that, I kind of saw all these gaps in the market,
Yes.
in any industry, and I'm like, geez, there's too many ideas that you can go for.
Yeah.
But yes, when I decided to stop studying and go for my first business, I just knew that was the one.
So tell us about this first idea that you had in 2006. Did it take off? Was that your first successful business, or did it fail, and what were the failures?
Okay. Well, one of the things that you learn in sport is the fact that you can't do anything without a team.
Yes.
And honestly, even if you could, it's lonely. And you'll hear entrepreneurs always say it's a lonely journey. They're always
At the
by
top, it's
themselves.
lonely
Yeah,
at the top.
that's right.
Yes.
For me, it's never been that case. Whenever I've had an idea, sure, I might have birthed that idea myself. But then I'm thinking to myself, who can I bring in? Who do I know
Yeah.
that can add value to this idea, and I can form a team around? So if you talk about the first idea, which I can't really disclose, I built a team around it.
Yes.
We worked on it for about 16 to 18 months. And it was a success.
Okay.
And in short, we left it all very happy, and we went on to do something else.
Oh, so you built it from scratch, and when it was up and running, you decided, okay, I'm happy with where my product is or where my idea is, and I'm ready to move on.
Yes, that's right. That's a real essence of entrepreneurship, right? The fact that you build things up and then you move on. And whatever happens to that is then its own thing. It's not really yours anymore.
Yeah. So, but most entrepreneurs, they want to hold on to whatever it is that have started, be it a business, be it a product or a service. They see it as their retirement plan, basically. So would you say viewing entrepreneurship as a guarantee to a retirement or a nice life is the right approach, or should we view it as a tool to actually bridge the gap in the market, the demands that are there in the market?
So I look at entrepreneurship very differently than most people. I believe entrepreneurship is there for people that want to make a difference, and that have something innovative that they want to add to the market. So my definition of entrepreneur is not another barbershop or another restaurant. Even if they're doing something unique in that, I don't view them essentially as entrepreneurs. I view the innovators as entrepreneurs. And so that's my perspective and how I look at it. And because of that, to answer your question, for me, entrepreneurship is about finding that gap and making it happen.
Yeah.
And a lot of the time, like I said, you can't do it on your own. You have to have a team, you have to have a network. If I look at my current company, Silicon Berg, right now, we're a technology company.
Yes.
We, a lot of our clients, they're looking to build the next Uber. They're looking to build the next Google, the next Facebook.
Yeah, Netflix.
And but in the technology itself, things are always changing, and new opportunities are always happening. Like right now, there's a massive opportunity in GDPR and POPI Act.
Yes.
And if you don't embrace it as a business, you'll see that as an obstacle. Whereas if you embrace it, you'll see it as an opportunity.
As an opportunity.
So also your mindset as an entrepreneur is very important. And even if you're in this business now, it still has a big chance of growing new branches into new industries, into new collaborations, partnerships. And so for me, it's never about, again, going back to your question, it's never about doing something and staying in that lane, because time's changing and the world's changing and clients are changing, the needs are changing, and you can't sit still.
Yeah. So in saying we can't sit still as entrepreneurs, would you say that diversifying in terms of the businesses that you get involved in or the business interests you have is one of the keys to actually being successful in the business?
So a lot of people will say that stick to what you know, stay in your lane.
Focus.
That's right, and don't have too many things that are diverting. And that is true. But at the same time, every person, every entrepreneur is unique. They have their own passions, their own goals, their own desires. Like for example, for the longest time, I wanted to be part of the Olympics team to go play, my sport.
Yeah.
And that was a long time my goal. But that is gone now. So now what? You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
You've got to have other passions. You've got to have other purpose in your life.
And you're going to grow
interests.
out of previous passions that you had.
That's right. So like one of my biggest passions has always been technology. My other passions is law. My other passions, and the thing is that's one thing other than entrepreneurs, people should look at themselves and not try to define themselves just by one thing.
Yeah.
Yes, they could have one skill, they could be good at one thing, but it doesn't mean they can't do other things.
Yes.
5 years ago, as a birthday present to myself, I started playing golf, and there was one sport that
I've never done.
done before. That's right, and people always said it's an old man's game, it's boring and everything. To me, it was always fascinating, but I never had an opportunity. But I created an opportunity for myself to do it, and I mean, I just played a round of golf on Tuesday. I'm playing a round of golf every 2 weeks now, hopefully every week going forward.
Oh wow, so the passion is actually growing.
That's right, and that's the thing, if you are your own limits.
Exactly.
And one thing that I think people need to understand is the fact that don't limit yourself.
Continue to find your boundaries. Continue to break those boundaries.
Yes.
And continue to test your limits.
Yes.
Where are my limits and can I go beyond those? Because
Absolutely.
eventually we want to be a community that does not see obstacles, but
Yes.
rather opportunities.
That's right.
As you said, that it's the perspective that you look at it from. And with that, I wanted to find out, starting Siliconberg and having been in the journey for 6 years now, have you seen your passion fluctuating for what you're doing? Feeling that, I don't think I like it today, or hey, I'm so excited about it today.
Sure.
And when you experience those up and downs in the passion and question, why am I even doing this?
Yes.
How do you get out of that and continue, building and growing?
Sure. So as a business owner and an entrepreneur, the truth is, and most people don't talk about the truth is that 8 out of 10 times it's not fun.
Yes.
All right, 8 out of 10 times it's a battle. 8 out of 10 times you're struggling. And people only see that 1 out of 10 or that 2 out of 10. So, firstly, as an entrepreneur, when you choose your mission and when you choose what you want to do, it should be something that comes from deep within you. It should be something that really resonates with who you are and who you want to become and what you want to do for this world.
Yeah.
If it's just for money, or if it's just for fame, or if it's for something that doesn't last, you will get lost. So to answer your question, being a business owner and entrepreneur is not easy. But the thing is that it has its joys too. You have your
Yes.
freedom. You're allowed to choose what you do, and who you work with, and who becomes part of your family in terms of the company. It has been tough. I mean, to be honest with you, like in Siliconberg at this stage, we've trained over 100 people in the last 6 years.
Wow.
And
Are they still employees of your organization now?
so also that's another thing, it's about changing with the times. So yes, out of those 100, honestly, only around 15 made it through.
Wow.
So about 15 to 20% hit rate. And the
So you
reason,
invest effort,
Yes.
you invest time and resources, training people, and you actually don't even know if you will reap the rewards or the
You don't.
return on the investment that you've put in.
you don't. And in fact, I don't look at it as an investment. I look at it more as, trying to do good and to better the industry in South Africa, and at the same time, of course, to better my team.
Yes.
And so for me, I cared about every one of them, and I wanted every one of them to succeed. For one reason or the other, it never worked out for a lot of them, and obviously I wish them all the best and I hope they're doing well. But you know, that's the thing, you know, to be successful in doing what you're doing, it takes a lot of dedication, a lot of motivation, a lot of drive, a lot of sacrifice.
Yeah.
And sometimes people don't see that. Like a lot of the students coming out of universities right now, they think they know it all.
Yeah. And they have an entitlement mentality
That's
as
right.
well, you know, in the workspace.
That's right. But I wouldn't say they don't know it all. What I would say is the fact that when they come to the workforce, they don't have all the skills to deliver.
And they don't have an open mind about learning or unlearning certain things so that you can be better at a certain thing.
Yes. So to answer your question, at Silicon Valley, we're very flexible. We actually don't employ anyone full-time. So,
okay, wait, so you have no employees in the business?
No.
6 years and no employees?
We started out like that.
Okay.
We had employees and they were paid salaries. And firstly, we felt that it limited their growth. Because then they'd be like, okay, I'm only earning X amount every month. I'm going to put in X amount of effort and I'm just going to give X amount back to the company. And that kind of didn't work because, you know, if you're getting paid X amount and then all of a sudden, like the company you're working for is now getting all these big clients and you're like, hey, where's my piece of the pie?
Yes.
You kind of get a bit despondent, right? And that doesn't work. So that's why we've become a flexible workforce in the fact that we work on projects.
Okay.
And we work on the capacity of every employee. So for example, if you were working for us and your capacity is to do 5 projects in 1 month, that means you have 5 incomes coming through to you,
5
right?
X's
That's
that
right.
you can actually get. Most small businesses and most, maybe 80% of the businesses right now are still using the traditional way of acquiring talent, which is basically to employ them full-time and give them X amount of hours in a month for an X amount of pay.
Yes.
So do you think it's something that we, as a changing generation, we entering 4th industrial revolution, is that something that we should actually look at changing in how we do businesses to become actually more successful?
Sure. So I think for us it works because of our industry. We get clients from all different genres, all different types of clients as well in stages of where they are. And so it works for us because then in a way we're partnering with our workforce to deliver. Whereas, for example, it wouldn't work for a McDonald's, it wouldn't work for a Steers, it wouldn't work when, you know, the same client's wanting the same product.
Okay.
Do you get what I'm trying to say?
So fixed services.
Yes, that's right.
To a fixed client for a fixed period of time.
Yes.
That structure normally won't work.
I don't think it would, but whereas where, you know, the client demands are always changing, and also your workforce might always change as well, and that's where it works. And also it does give some sort of accountability, because if you've taken up a project and it's supposed to be for, let's say, 2 months, and it takes you 3 months to deliver on that project, you're still only getting that 2 months
worth of pay. Yes. Okay, that actually makes sense. And while we're talking about workforce, we're seeing that different strokes for different folks. Depending on the industry you're in, the type of clients you're servicing, and the type of services that you deliver, you might need a hybrid structure. You might need to have full-time employees. You might need to just have independent contractors. So as small businesses, we shouldn't limit ourselves to one method of recruiting or acquiring talent. We should look at various methods and how that can actually benefit us. And also, one of the concepts that is more of a scary concept right now in our South African market is working from home, which is something that's big abroad internationally.
Definitely.
We're having more and more people working from home. Do you think us as a culture are ready for having that type of structure in our businesses?
It's exciting, and honestly, it's something that I welcome. Unfortunately, I hear this a lot when people are at home. They they choose to do other things. But
Obviously.
but the thing is that working from home does offer a lot of benefits. You don't spend time on the road traveling. You can be dressed however you want as long as you deliver what you're aiming to deliver. You can work at 2 in the morning or you can work at 2 in the afternoon. So it is a great benefit, but it's only if you're able to deliver. And even from our point of view, a lot of our employees also, we're very flexible. They don't have to come into our office.
Oh, okay.
A lot of them don't even come into our office. A lot of them not even in Joburg. They could be in Durban, they could be in PE in Cape Town. So yes, it can work, but it actually depends on the individual.
So it's that flexible structure that you can say has allowed your team, because now it's not employees, you've partnered with them.
Yes.
It's allowed your team to be more effective
Yes.
and more productive, because they know if I take 3 months to deliver, no other project will come my way. Even after that, if I don't deliver the right quality, I might not score more projects going forward.
That's right.
It's more of it's a better performance management tool,
Yes.
because a person can say, I need this amount of money, and for me to achieve that, I need to actually shorten the time that I take to produce the quality that I need to produce.
That's right. So the productivity normally goes up, but sometimes it doesn't always work also. So like you said, there's a lot of up and downs. A lot of people work differently. A lot of people wouldn't fit into our culture in terms of flexible pay, and at the same time, depending on your productivity, how much you do get paid. There's still a lot of people that rather would have that X amount every month, and they're happy to do so. But then they could just, if they're working with us, they'll take that one project and they'll work on that. But others would be happy to do 3 or 4 projects at one time.
Yeah, and it's just a matter of balancing the staff complement or the team complement that you have. Looking at, again, that 8 out of 10, you having challenges as a small business.
Yes.
What are the challenges that you have experienced with Siliconberg throughout the 6-year journey, and how can you say those challenges have shaped the success of your business?
So from the very beginning, with entrepreneurship, you're always learning, and the learning never stops. So that is one thing that on my side, I don't believe I know everything, and I never will. And things are always changing, so you just got to keep rolling with the punches. Some of the challenges we've had are cash flow. So that's a normal problem.
That's every small business's challenge, cash flow. How do we deal with the issue of cash flow? Especially month end.
Yes.
You've got clients that are not paying on time. Everyone has clients, and it's a domino effect.
It is.
If my client hasn't paid me on time, I can't pay my suppliers on time.
100%.
My suppliers can't pay their suppliers on time. How do we deal with that, or how do we break that chain?
So I guess also, again, it's industry specific. But for us, we've implemented a lot of rules and regulations when we do onboard a client. And in the contracts that we negotiate, we also put in a lot of clauses in there for if they aren't able to pay at a certain time or a certain agreement. So yes, it is tough sometimes, but at the end of the day, when they do pay, you kind of make it back. But the only problem is that the struggle is in between that.
Yes, because now you almost need a buffer to cover for the period where they have not yet paid you.
Yes.
And it might be that week of month end that they haven't paid.
So that brings me to the next challenge. The next challenge is always having that right pipeline, generating that right pipeline, so that yes, if the clients aren't paying in time, you've still got a whole bunch of other clients that are coming on board that are kind of filling up the pockets. And so that is one of the struggles, as other organizations might have a business development department, whereas for me, it's my challenge to make sure that there's always a client coming on, or 2 or 3 clients coming on.
As an entrepreneur, your job is to bring in clients.
Yes. And that, to be honest, is the next problem is sales. So the thing is that when it comes to running a business, you basically do not have funds if you do not have a client.
Exactly.
And so making sure you have that pipeline that I spoke about, where you're always getting consistently new clients coming on
New
board,
leads.
and building that up. And for me, it's always been the fact that, you know, meeting new people, going out there, because at the end of the day, you are your own brand.
Yeah.
And people resonate with you before they resonate with your business.
company, yes.
And so a lot of entrepreneurs don't see that. They say, "Oh, I can't sell.
I'm scared to go
That's
out
right.
and talk to people.
That's
and
right.
knock on people's doors."
That's
It's
true.
the most scariest experience that an entrepreneur can have. But to bridge that, do you think it's always training that helps, or it's just going out there that will help?
So for me, to be honest with you, I've always been a very shy guy. Like if you put me in a room, a lot of the times I'm not really saying that much, and I'm just listening to people, right? But the thing is that when it comes to you believing in what you're doing, believing that you add value, believing that you can make a difference, then if you think that about your business, wouldn't it be easy to talk to someone and say to them, "Hey, I can do something great for you. Let's do it together." So for me, it's never been a challenge. But and I believe that if the entrepreneur believes in their idea, believes in what they're doing, that it shouldn't be an obstacle to going forward. Yes, maybe at times it might be very hard to find the right places to go, or find the right people to meet. But over time, if you carry on pushing and you carry on moving, you will find that hotspot.
Where you find a lot of people that you can actually talk to.
Yes.
So the key thing here is to make sure that whatever product, whatever service, whatever you are doing, you don't second guess it. You need to be 100% confident in what you're
100%.
doing and believe in what you're doing for you to be able to just talk to someone.
Yes.
It's more like evangelism.
Yes.
With Christians, when they evangelize, they're so passionate about it
That's
that
right.
they don't even
They don't see anything.
Yes, they're not even conscious of, hey, people are looking at me funny or whatnot.
That's right.
Because of the passion they have. So it's that belief in what we are doing, in the product that we have or the service that we have, that is actually going to push us to go
Yes.
and talk to the people.
Yes.
It's not always the training, because you can go to a sales course and if you still don't believe in what you're doing,
No, it won't.
you can't convince the next person, because
That's
you
right.
yourself, you're not convinced.
Yes, and it's all about being genuine and authentic. And that's what, it's not trying to make yourself believe that what you're doing is okay. It's the fact that you know what you're doing is great.
Yeah.
And that you know, anyone that you come across, if they need your service, you're going to be able to do that job for them. So, and that's one thing that, you know, again, I'll go back to my background from sports. Like, to be honest, like, I'm watching this guy play tennis and he's smashing those balls, and I'm like, oh shoot, when I play him, I'm going to get killed, right?
Yeah, it's second skin.
Yeah, you're like, oh. But then when you get on that court and you play with him, you realize, hey, he's not hitting that ball that hard. I can get that ball back. And you start pushing and challenging yourself. And then, you know, one battle after the other battle, you realize that, hey, I've also got skills.
Yes.
I can also
I
compete.
can do something different
Yeah.
from them.
That's right.
And I think that's what maybe sometimes, you know, the big players in the industry, they intimidate us. And you feel like, I can't approach that client because that client was serviced by this big player in the industry
That's
before.
right.
And you start second guessing yourself again. But the moment you just step out there, you realize, oh, this is what the big players were doing. And actually, I can even improve that.
Definitely.
What I'm doing is even better than that sometimes,
Yes.
you know. But what one needs to do is to get onto that tennis court.
100%.
Get into the market, go out there, start talking to people, and you will start realizing that actually it's not that difficult to make a sale.
100%. And also, like, going for those hard sales. And I'll bring it back to sports again. But going back to those hard sales, you actually learn a lot. Like, if you're going to a big corporate and they're like, have you got this, have you got that, have you got that? You know what you're lacking now. It's the same thing as if you're on that tennis court, or I'll bring it back to golf. Like, I practiced golf for 6 months before I went onto my first golf course.
Wow.
And when you go onto that first golf course, you can't hit another ball. You're only playing that one ball, right? And then when you're playing that golf course, you realize, okay, fine, this is my strengths, this is my weaknesses, this is what I need to work on. And I was telling my friend that I was playing with on Tuesday, I wished I played that first golf course earlier. Because then I knew where my strengths are,
lessons
where I
would
needed
come
to
earlier.
improve. and I would have been so much more better at that point. So sometimes, you know, going for that challenge is the best thing that can happen for you. Even if you don't win it, even if you don't get it, it's not, you need to, you know, you need to be always positive about what you're doing and take the lessons, even if it didn't work out, you know, you need to take those lessons. You can't go and be depressed and be like, it didn't work for me. You can't be like that.
Sitting in a corner, sulk.
The world is against me, I can't make it happen. It's not. You need to look at why did it not happen, analyze it, work on the problems, and then get better.
So you need to do an introspection of how I failed, why I failed, and how can I actually be better than what I was yesterday.
Yes.
So a lot of people view failure as, you know, a sign that this is not for you, you're not good enough, and beat themselves down. You know, self-esteem as well gets affected. But we're saying failure is the best opportunity to learn, the best opportunity to grow, and it's an inherent part of success.
That's right.
There's no business that has been established without failure. And what are the common mistakes that you've seen from new, small, up-and-coming entrepreneurs that they make in the industry that leads to them failing?
So for me, so I deal with, because of the nature of our business, we deal with entrepreneurs basically every day. And sometimes we have entrepreneurs come to us with ideas every day. And the problem that I see a lot of them having is the fact that, one, a lot of them don't do their homework.
In the industry they enter.
Yes, in the industry they enter in. They might know who their competition is, but they don't know what the exact product offering is. They don't know why they're different. They don't know what makes them special. They don't know who they are. And as an entrepreneur, your job is to know who you are, because who you are is going to reflect in the business that you're doing. You need to, if you're going to make coffee, you need to know how to farm that bean. You need to know what kind of bean you're looking for. You need to know how to grind that bean. You need to know how to roast that bean. Whatever it is, when it comes to it, you need to know all of that. You can't go to a coffee shop and say, "Hey, I want to, sell coffee." That's my idea. You do it.
Yeah, no, that's true. So we need to start becoming a breed of entrepreneurs that are able to do their due diligence before stepping into the space.
Yes.
Or before starting to play in the space. You need to have done your homework, your research, and also, you know, go out there, talk to people who are in the same industry that you want to enter. Sometimes being in the same industry as someone does not necessarily mean that that person is your competitor. Because there are so many people willing to actually coach and show people
and
how
partner.
this is partnership as well. There's a lot of collaboration that can happen if you put yourself out there, talk to the people who've been in the market, in the industry. And just going back to that partnership, how important is it for entrepreneurs to partner, collaborate, network?
So I guess it depends on the actual company and the startup. But for me, I always believed, like I mentioned earlier, that having that team is so important. So, for example, if we're an IT company, but we don't do graphics. So, if we partner with someone that did graphics, then every time they did graphics also for a client, then they will refer us to do the rest of the work. And on our side, whenever we need graphics, we would then be going back to someone else there. So those kind of collaborations and partnerships are so important. That's just one example. And yes, like to answer your question earlier with regards to other lessons that entrepreneurs need to learn, is the fact that I always get told that, we're waiting for funding.
Oh, that's I don't know whether that has become our national excuse.
That's right.
To not do anything, but it's the biggest problem we're having now.
That's right. So to give you a short answer, like I mentioned earlier, I started working when I was 14. So when I've had my first idea, I funded it myself,
Yes.
And that's how I've always worked, right? And then now with this new business with Silicon Burger that I started 6 years ago, who was our funder? Our client.
Your first client.
You know what I mean? So when people ask and talk about funding, find the client.
Yeah. client will fund you.
Yes, that's right.
Exactly.
And the last lesson that I would have for entrepreneurs is just their willingness to go beyond. Because today they think that this is my space and that's it. And it kind of is very, again, it's those limiting beliefs, right? If you believe that that's your space and that's all you're going to be, someone else is going to do what you do and more.
And do it better than you.
That's right. And then you'll be left behind. So it's so important to always carry on moving forward. And again, like we've spoken about, don't take your failures too seriously.
Yeah, and beat yourself up for it.
No, in fact, failures are a blessing.
Exactly. They lessons. That's how we grow.
That's right.
We grow through the lessons we learn through failing.
And I've always said, one of my favorite sayings is that if it's meant to be, it will be.
Yes.
And opportunities are always there for those who are ready for them. So if you miss opportunities because you weren't ready.
Yes.
And if it didn't work out, it's because it wasn't the right thing.
Wasn't the right
And maybe it's a good thing that it didn't work out, because now you can aim for that bigger thing when you're ready.
Well, that's powerful words from Mr. Maurice. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for allowing us to come at your offices and just see what you do on a day-to-day basis.
No problem, anytime.
And just get to know your business and your journey, and for you sharing, the lessons that make us as entrepreneurs, the lessons that are very vital to the journey. We're not saying you're not going to go through the failures, but we're saying change the perspective. Every time you go through failure, change your perspective, and always have that positive mindset to say, I can learn something from this.
Definitely.
Let's look forward to failing, because then we are looking forward to growing.
That's right. And failures actually open up new doors.
Wow. Thank you so much, Mr. Maurice.
Thank
It was
you.
nice chatting with you.
No problem. Thank you for being here as well.
All right.